Take a deep breath. You've arrived. Just leave everything off the mat. Leave it out there. It's going to all be there, right? You know, no matter what, it'll be there. And let's go ahead and start with a balancing breath today. And Nadi Shodhana is alternate nostril breathing. But the way I like to build into Nadi Shodhana is I'd like to breathe in and out of the left nostril first, just in and out, checking in. And then we'll do the same thing with our right nostril, breathe in and out, checking in. Then we'll do the alternate where we go left in, right out, right in, left out. And I will demonstrate this, but I wanted to give you a preview of what we're doing. So start by closing off your right nostril gently. I usually just kind of hold the end with my fingers. And if you feel comfortable to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. If you don't want to stand with your eyes closed, you could do this breathing seated. Just breathe in and out, maybe 5 to 10 times, a slow pace out of your left nostril. When you release the right side, do a couple of breaths with both nostrils. It's nice to observe after just doing a one-sided breathing how your breath is on that side. If you favor breathing in and out of the left, and then we'll compare it to how you feel about breathing in and out of the right. So now close off your left nostril, and now you're breathing in and out of the right. When you've done the prerequisite number of times, go ahead and release that and check in again. Breathe in and out of both nostrils. Now, before we do this back and forth, I do want to explain when you're breathing in and out of the left side, that's considered your more receptive side, more feminine. The right side is more of your masculine side, your more power through side. And it's interesting just to know which one you favor, or if you do favor one, or if you feel pretty balanced. If you're tending to breathe through one side and want to work on the other side, then close off your dominant side breath every once in a while and just practice breathing in and out of your less dominant side. So now, in order to go back and forth, your hands are going to kind of switch back and forth. And it's going to look like this. I'm going to close off my right side, breathe in the left, close off the left, let the exhale out the right. Now breathe in through the right, close off the right, exhale out of the left. Breathe in through the left, seal off the left, exhale out of the right. Breathe in through the right, close off the right, exhale out of the left. Release that breath, go to a normal breath, and just check in. And again, see how that felt. Sometimes I find alternate nostril breathing makes me a little lightheaded as opposed to just doing one side. But it's very interesting to note how it feels. What this is known as is a balancing breath, which is balancing your left and right side of your insides as well as your outside. And this is part of how we feel more whole, is we try to bring some balance from the two sides, because we tend to be imbalanced a lot of the time from life or other things. Okay, so go ahead and gently just connect the hands behind the head, get your legs in a comfortable position, and just gently tilt side to side, working the side body. Start slow, start gentle. Don't go too deep into this. And today you may not want to go deep at all, especially if you have worked it hard recently. Now, if you want to, you could drop an arm down and go just a little more deeply, but keep it slow. And then switch a little more deeply. And then switch. We are supporting our neck by keeping our hand back here. Now, some of you may choose to make it a little more challenging without your hand behind your neck. But again, this depends on how your neck is today. Maybe the arm going over. And keeping that elbow bent is very protective of the shoulder. Now, the last version of this that you might want to try and maybe not bend over so far is interconnecting the hands together. You don't have to have the elbow straight unless you want to, and then just tilting side to side this way. Now, very gently, let your arms go down in a big circle. And then I want you to make these circles again, but again, if there's shoulder issues, keeping those elbows bent, change the cross of the arms each time, inhaling as you go up, exhaling as you complete the circle, seeing if you can remember to put a different arm in front. And then let's just shimmy our shoulders around a little bit. So there is something called the Samana Vayu in yoga, and the Samana Vayu is one of those energy currents, and this is an energy current around distribution and processing. So the way we activate this current is we imagine we're having a bow and arrow, we're drawing the arrow back, releasing the arrow, swinging the arms around. Draw the arrow back, release the arrow, swing it around, draw it back, release, around, and draw it back, release, around. So now we're going to do a different way. So I want the hands in front of you like this. This time when you draw the arrow back, you're twisting off to the back wall. And then letting it go. And then doing the other side, drawing the arrow back, opening up, twisting, and letting it go. Stay within your range of motion. And let it go. Let's go ahead and move our shoulders around. Do the shoulders the other way. Now, if you have a wall nearby that you could lean on, rather than do our swimming shoulders on the ground, I'd like to do it against a wall. And so move things out of your way so you can have access to a wall. You're going to have your hands like this. So I'm going to demonstrate it facing you, but then I'll lean against the wall. So it looks like this. You're keeping everything still, but gently moving the shoulders. Got it? And then you'll do it backwards. And then you'll widen the hands and do them together. Forward 3 times and back 3 times. So your hands are leaning against the wall. Your body, you can decide where you want your body to be. You can be far or close, depending on how much of that push-up feel you want. And then just circle. We're isolating the very small muscles of the shoulder. And then you're circling backward. You might hear some clicks and pops and creaks. Keep this small. Stay within the range of motion. If you have been working a lot and need to keep it smaller than usual, listen to your body. Widen the hands slightly, not as wide as I just went, maybe about that wide. And see if you can get both shoulders to move in unison. And then both of them to circle back. Now release all of that. Move kind of organically, kind of shake things out. You know, whatever feels good here. And let's walk around our room a little bit. Try to have the opposite arm, opposite leg going forward, which means your hip and shoulders are moving differently from each other instead of as a big unit. You want them to be able to move in isolation. Okay, I gotta adjust my lighting here. My lighting seems a little dull today. Let me get this a little brighter. Okay, that might be a little better. Okay, how are you feeling? Let's start to move down a little bit further and just first take your hands and give yourself a middle back rub. It's where your kidneys are, your adrenals. It's also an area that can feel tender. You know, give yourself a little bit of love here. Self-massage in Ayurveda is one of the big healing techniques. And one of the things is, you know, when we rely a lot, all of us, on other people to make us feel better, we start feeling like we're not whole. But when we're able to do some of these things for ourselves, we can realize that we do have the healing capacity. So I'm just rotating the hips forward and back gently. Don't make this big if that doesn't work for your low spine. Feel the tilt. So it's like a tea kettle. You're pouring the water back, and then you're pouring it forward. So visualize pouring water out of the back, out of the front, out of the back, and the front, very gently. And now widen your feet a little bit more, slide your hands down your thighs. Now we're going to get a little more of the back involved. So we're going to get, you're going to see much more get involved. And I'm even slightly bending and straightening my knees. So once again, gentle, trying to get the spinal movement going. Now, some of you may not want to do a full forward fold. So in lieu of a full forward fold, you may bring your arms down onto a surface that's not onto the ground. So you could do the next version, widen it a little bit more, and go into something like this. So from here, you could get the back going lengthened and then slightly rounded. Lengthened and rounded. Now, if you're doing this without a chair, you'd be doing it kind of like this. Rounded, lengthened, rounded, and lengthened. So you determine rounded and lengthen, whichever one you're doing. If you're on the chair or if you're leaning over, get your head above the heart and breathe here for a minute or two. So you're not coming up too quickly because that can make you get dizzy. And then come on, stand up. And once again, walk around the room and check in with yourself. Okay, see, I have to figure out, I was starting to walk same hand, same leg, opposite hand, opposite leg. Sometimes you have to really focus on that to do that. Okay, so let's do a little bit of lunge work. The lunge work can be just without anything to hold on to, or if you feel like your balance is at all challenged, you could have a hand close to a back of a chair or even lean toward the wall to do this. So I'm going to take my inside leg. And if you're not holding on to anything, you're just kind of swinging this. You're trying to get this hip to move, but it's nice to have a hand on something while you're swinging the leg a little bit. So I'm bending it forward, which is contracting, and then I'm lengthening. Contracting, lengthening, contracting, lengthening. Then put the foot down, toes slightly facing forward, hip bones are facing forward, and then you might bend and straighten that front knee. So you're going in and you're coming out of this. You're going in and out. And you can, again, make this as deep as you want. Some people might be doing it like this, and some people just be doing it like that. So this is all very individual based on how your body is feeling today. If you want to add arms in, if you're keeping one hand on the chair, you could still add in an arm lifting up and back. So don't hold this pose, come in and out of it. Now, today, my body is desiring a chair dog, not a floor dog. If you want to do a floor dog, do a floor dog. I feel like doing a chair dog, which means I am putting less pressure on my upper arms, my shoulders, and my neck, but I'm still getting this beautiful length of my spine. The way you lengthen your spine is you bend your knees, because what that does is releases the hamstrings. And the hamstrings are often pulling all the muscles on your buttocks and lower spine. So breathe here, feel the length. Now, if you're doing a regular floor dog, lower yourself down into a cobra. If you're doing a chair dog, do a chair cobra, which means now we're lengthening the front body, lifting the chin. Focus on dropping those shoulders, softening them. So the work is here in the middle of the back. The stretch is in the front body. I don't want your shoulders to feel like they're doing so much of the work. Breathe. All right, let's do the other side. If you're using a chair, you might choose to turn around. It's nice to have the inside leg so that your hand is supporting that, but you don't have to have something to hold on to. I like holding on to something when I'm doing this. Contract, release. Contract the muscle, release the muscle. Contract, release, put the leg down. Hips are facing forward, feet are slightly facing forward. So now release the bend in the knee and then activate. So when you bend the knee, you should be activating more muscles in the legs. Purposely deactivate them now. Activate them, deactivate them. You can add arms in or one arm in, like this. You can do it like that. Use your breath. Feel what you're working. Feel what you're releasing. Nice. All right. Now, either you're doing a regular dog or another chair dog. Walk away from the chair, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. Make sure you're evenly using all the muscles up and down the back. You have a whole back body. You are whole. Breathe. Now, if you're on a regular dog, you're lowering to your belly. If you're doing a chair dog, you're walking toward the chair or the wall. Lifting up, the chin lifts, the whole back body engages, but you're keeping those shoulders soft. And breathing. And now let's walk around one more time. Make sure that we are feeling the work we did without too much pain. We want to be releasing pain. Okay, now come back to the center of the mat and let's just swing the hips around a little bit, very gently, rotating them one way and then rotating them the other way. And then just go side to side. Now these are the hip hikes. So when you do a hip hike, come up to that ball of the foot. You're kind of leaning toward the same side. So you're shortening this muscle, lengthening this one. Bring that foot down. Come up to the ball of the other foot. You're leaning slightly toward the lifted leg. So in other words, you're lifting everything up and then come down. Hip hike, down, hip hike, down, hip hike, down, hip hike, and down. Okay, we'll do our balance and then that will be it for standing postures today. It would be nice to practice free balances. If you don't feel like doing all three on one side and then all three on the other side, go back and forth. Because it is more work to try to just work one side at a time. And it might be safer, and I think I'm just going to do it back and forth. It's safer that way. You know, if this other way is strengthening, but my body's feeling tired today. I've been chasing after a almost 5-year-old, so I'm going to do it the easier way. Whoa. And my balance is off. So laugh about it if your balance is off, hang in there. All right, so that was a slightly turned out leg, was my first one. I'm going to do a slightly turned out leg. So I'm not doing really a tree pose. I mean, if I were doing an official tree pose, it would look like that. I find that tree pose doesn't always work as well for me anymore, so I do a modified version of tree. It's good to be not paying attention to what you're balancing, because think about it, that's when we fall, when we're not paying attention. So I'm chit-chatting at you and we're talking on the phone and somehow you lose your balance. We want to be able to keep our balance when other things are going on. Okay, go ahead and put that down. Shift the weight between both legs, shake it out before we start our next version. So the next version will be leg behind in some fashion. You could do some version of Warrior 3, which would just be like that, right? I like to do more of a dancer's pose because that gets into my quad. If you are not feeling a dancer's pose today, just with your hand, this is where a strap might come in really handy. And again, my balance is off today. I'm just going to kind of shift around and do the best I can and smile about it. Not try to have perfect form. Breathe, whatever you're doing with that leg behind. Okay. Whew, let's do the other side. And you don't have to do this version, just leg behind in some fashion, whatever you want to do. But I felt like my quad needed this today. Breathing, smiling, giggling, especially if you fall out. You're whole. Okay, let it go. Whew, I think I'm getting warm enough to get rid of the sweater. All right, we have one more version, which is somehow the leg in front. So that can be done a few different ways. You could just, go up like that. You could, I'm going to try to challenge myself a little more with the leg in front. So I'm going to have my hands under my thigh, and I'm just going to try to gently kick my leg in and out a few times. Smile. Don't hurt yourself. Make this fun. Make it a game. Whatever you're doing, so we're testing out our balance in 3 different ways. And it's really a great way to notice where your balance weaknesses are and where your strengths are. Man, am I feeling this. Okay, I think the chiropractor overworked me because I am definitely feeling everything down in my hips today. All right, move around again. Let's walk one more time, and then we are on our way down. We're going to do our twisting series next. So if you can be on the floor, that would be great. If you can't, you'll do it in the chair. Okay? So walk around, make your way to either the floor or the chair to do the twisting series. We'll do our mudra after that, and then we'll be laying down. All right, here we go. So get all the supplies needed near you for being on the ground so that you don't have to go searching around for them. Get them all organized close by. I'm going to make a camera adjustment since we're going to be on the ground the rest of the time. So I'm going to do the twisting series. I guess I should do mermaid. Mermaid or deer. If you're sitting on a chair, obviously you can't do it like this. But if you are on the ground, the reason I like it this way, best of all, is because we can do a lot of other interesting things with the twisting series. For instance, we can lift this back knee up and lower it, this is a great hip reliever. Lift the back knee up and lower it. 3rd time. Lift that back knee up and lower it. Obviously, if you're in a chair, you're skipping this part. You can lift this front knee up and lower it. Lift the front knee up and lower it. What we're doing is engaging and disengaging muscles to try to get them to release. Okay, so now I'm going to twist partly and release back. And when you release, you might be slumped over like me. Twist partly and let it go. So I'm feeling this a lot in front of this hip and behind this hip, and not just the waist, and let it go. Now let's twist further. Twist a little further and see where you're feeling it now, and let it go. A little further. So at any one of these places, you may choose that I don't want to go any farther today. If you want to go farther, you're doing one more round that might be a little deeper twist. And third time. Okay. Now, release this. Again, if you're in a chair, this would be hard to do, but I would like to take the leg that was back and now cross it over my body. You could, I guess you could cross your knees in the chair. We're just going to twist a couple of times toward the other direction. So twisting and softening. Twisting and softening. Third time, twisting and softening. Release the legs if they're crossed over. Whatever you're doing, we're doing something that's neutralizing. So if you're in the chair, just hold on to the back of the chair and windshield wiper your legs. If you're on the ground, your hands are behind you, fingers pointed away, and you're going side to side, releasing it all. All right, setting up for the other side, the whole series. And you might need, I'm feeling like, no, that I need to be on something for this side. So these are the kind of minute adjustments that is important for you to learn to make for yourself, because then you feel whole. If you can just say, huh, I sense I need to do this, or I sense I need to do that. See, I'm always adjusting. Okay, let's lift and lower the back knee. So there's engaged muscles. Notice where you're engaging and then let it go. Re-engage. Soften it. Engage the muscle. Release the muscle. Same thing with this front knee. Feel like notice where you're engaging. Should be the thigh. Let it go. Engage all these muscles. Release these muscles. Engage them and let them go. Now place your hand on your thigh, and we're going to do mini twists, 3 rounds, a little bit more, 3 rounds, and then your full version of a twist, 3 rounds. So partly release. Partly notice where you're working. Release. Partly let it go. A little further in the twist. A little further. Let it go. Wind. Unwind. You're like a spinning top. Wind. Unwind. Go even further. Really wind it up. And let it go. And let it go. Third time. And release. Take this leg, draw it around your body. See if you can sit evenly on both sit bones. Now you're twisting toward the front bent leg. And soften. Lift up, engage muscles. And let it go. Third time. And release. Let the whole thing go. You can either move your body slightly or just sit and do a cleansing breath. In through the nose, out with an open mouth. In through the nose. Release with a sound. So for the mudra practice, find any comfortable way to sit so that your spine is nice and long. And let's first check in And you might even say to yourself a few times, I am whole. I am whole, regardless of what's going on in my body, in my life, in my mind. I am whole. I am whole. Okay. So the mudra today is actually about balancing your central channel of energy. Since we worked our left and right sides energies at the beginning of class with the Nadi Shodhana breath and alternate nostril breathing, now we want to create this feeling of this central channel. So you'll just take your third, fourth, and fifth fingers and put them into the palm. Then you're making like two L's. And then the thumbs are touching each other of the L. And then just rest this comfortably somewhere, wherever you can rest it. So just take a moment and breathe like this. If you don't mind, with your eyes closed, if you feel safe to do so. And just notice if there's any energetic quality to this. See if you can pinpoint where the breath is. So this is the Shikata Mudra. It's the gesture of the vehicle for balancing your central channel of energy. The central channel of energy is known as your Sushumna Nadi. It is the vehicle for the Shakti Kundalini, which is the energy of spiritual awakening. And this can remain dormant in our body. On a physical level, it balances our autonomic nervous system. The index fingers that are extended are symbolic of the Ida and Pingala nadis, which are the left and the right side. So the gesture creates space between your thoughts. It calms your emotional body. It cultivates an inner silence that allows you to rest in your wholeness. I'll guide you through the meditation now. So this time we're going to breathe in and out of our left and right sides without closing off the opposite sides. You're only going to do this energetically. So begin by breathing in and out of your left nostril, the left lung, and the left side of the body. So once again, you're doing this energetically. What we're doing is we are sensing our receptive lunar qualities and helping them to awaken naturally. So once you've completed your lunar breathing, you're going to do your right side breathing. So it's the right nostril, your right lung, and the right side of your body that you're getting your breath to flow through easily. So this is your dynamic solar qualities of your body, and you're awakening them as well. Now you're going to breathe evenly through both nostrils, noticing a central alignment and a harmony between your receptive and dynamic parts of your personality, your energy. As you become more centered and aligned, your awareness turns inward, tuning in to the Sushumna Nadi, your central channel of subtle energy. Visualize this channel as a column of crystal light within your spine, It runs all the way from your Muladhara chakra, which is your root chakra, all the way up to the Sahasrara chakra, which is your crown chakra at the top of your head. With every inhale, sense a crystal light ascending, going up the Sushumna Nadi. And then with each exhale, experience the energy descending back to the base of your body, up and down with the crystal light. See if you can smooth out this journey up and down with this beautiful crystal light. As the crystal light flows more freely, it enables you to attune to your inner essence, whole, limitless. It allows you to integrate and transcend your lunar and solar polarities in your body. Take a few breaths, resting within the experience of unity, the essence of your Sushumna Nadi. As you rest in your wholeness, visualize that you are merging with this crystal light. You can affirm this mudra by repeating the following 3 times, or if something else is more meaningful to you, you can reword this. As crystal light permeates my being, I experience my wholeness. As crystal light permeates my being, I experience wholeness. As crystal light permeates my being, I experience wholeness. Slowly release the gesture. Take several natural breaths to sense the complete integration and harmony. And as you're ready, blinking, open your eyes gently and bringing this wholeness into everything you do and feel and speak and think today. So as you transition to your back, some of you might want to do hands and knees, a little bit of cat-cow movement, which in somatics we call red light, green light. You might transition that way. I would suggest laying a blanket completely over your mat to allow you to slide more easily as we move our limbs. But if you don't feel like being on hands and knees, you can just go ahead. I like sometimes just to slide back and forth on my hands and knees, not necessarily moving my spine as much as just loosening my hips with this back and forth movement. The other movement I tend to like on my hands and knees, which I can't seem to get as well in any other way, is this tail wagging. So you wag your tail, you look over that shoulder, you wag your tail. It's called the C curve. It's a little bit like the hip hikes we did, but I find I get a little more freedom doing it this way. So if that is something that appeals to you on your way down, you could try that as well. And then make our way down to the ground, starting off with some rocking of the hips, taking the hands and placing them on the hip bones, mostly for a guide, so that you actually feel the hips rocking forward, rocking back, rocking forward and back. So when you notice this, some of you might be drawing the lower back off the ground, but for some of you, you don't have to. if that's too much. There should be a closing up of the space when the hips rock toward your rib cage. A little opening, a little more distance. The other way I measure this, if you're having trouble visualizing this, is I put my thumb at the very base of the rib cage, and my middle finger is on the hip, so I can feel the distance is shortening, it's lengthening. So if you had a ruler there, you could measure the difference when you are contracting and releasing. And then one last little hint is the weight in your feet will change. So when I'm pressing back, the weight in my feet are more in the heels. When I'm going forward, I'm kind of pushing a little bit more in the front of my foot, my toes. So these are a couple little hints that can be helpful. You go as slow or quickly as feels appropriate in your body. Now draw one leg up, cup the hands under the leg. When you lift the leg, point the toes. When you go down, flex, point, and flex. You can straighten out the other leg if that feels appropriate. Now, another way that we can release tension around this low back and hip area is keep the hands cupped on this one leg. Engage the muscles of the extended leg. Have the toes initially point right up to the sky. And you're either lifting an inch or two, or you're just engaging the muscles. And then you're lowering down or releasing the muscles. But when you release, soften everything. Soften that leg and feel this leg release too. Let's try that another time, but this time turn the toes out of your lengthened leg. So you should be feeling the engagement on the inner thigh now. You may be lifting or you may just be engaging. You're lowering or releasing, softening both sets of leg muscles. Let it go. You might even have to shimmy the feet around to make sure you're softened. Last round, your toes are pointed inward. You're engaging from the outer edge of the straight leg, lifting a little bit, feeling the work, but then you're purposely lowering it, softening everything. Let it go. You should have had a big release in this opposite hip area. Let's straighten both legs out for a moment, compare them side to side, check in. And then we're going to do this to the other side. So draw the knee in. You could start with the other leg bent if your body is not ready to have that leg straight. You're lifting and pointing, lowering and flexing. Lifting and pointing, lower and flex. Lift and point, lower and flex. Keep the knee in. You'll need to straighten the other leg. Engage the muscles of the lengthened leg and either just engage it and not lift it, or engage and lift slightly. Whatever you do, let's release those muscles and release the muscles of the bent leg. 2 more times, engaging the straight leg. Now your toes are turned out. Feel the engagement from the inner thigh. Release, let it go. Let it all go. Turn the toes inward. Lift from the outer edge of your body, the outer leg. Make sure you've let it all go when you release. You should have a release in this other hip. Straighten both legs out again. Check in. You might wiggle the legs. You might just be still. You might even do a full body stretch for a moment. And then bend the knees up, and let's do some windshield wipers. Adding in the arms if you want a full body yawn. Now, if you have something going on with your shoulder, you're going to want to put something behind your head. Have the backs of your arms leaning on there so you're not over opening that shoulder area. Start at whatever width feels right. When the knees go toward the left, you can lengthen the right arm along the ground or the cushion and gently, with the eyes closed, look toward the right. Come back to the center. When the knees drop to the right, your head turns to the left and you're lengthening under that armpit and back to the center. Go at this gently, adjust the legs, different width. Explore this movement. You are whole. You just need to have the memory return to you that you are innately whole. We start feeling so defective as we age and go through all of life's challenges. And we just have to return back to all these childlike movements that we did so easily before life started happening. So I'm changing the position of my arms now, changing the position of my legs. When you've had enough, do something as your final move. Maybe it's happy baby. Maybe it's just legs up this way and you're circling, or maybe you're kicking your legs, or any sort of inversion that feels good and comforting and nourishing. And then find your way into whatever rest position you want to be in for the end of our class. Your body should be feeling really, really good, really whole right now. We just have to do a little bit every day to keep us feeling whole. So today's reading, I returned back to one of my favorite authors, Mark Nepo. And he wrote a book called The Book of Awakening, and just a wonderful daily guide to remembering that you are whole. And today's reading is called It Is Enough. If you can't see what you're looking for, see what's there. One of the most difficult things for us to accept is that beneath all of our dreams and disappointments, we live and breathe in abundance. It is hard when in pain to believe that all we ever need is before us, around us, within us. And yet, it's true. Like leafless trees waiting for morning, something as great and as constant as the earth holds us up and turns us ever so slowly toward the light. Our task is only to be rooted and patient. Never was this more painfully true for me than during the aftermath of my first chemo treatment. I was in a Holiday Inn at 5 a.m. after 24 hours of vomiting every 20 minutes. I was slumped on the floor, holding the space of a rib that had been removed 3 weeks earlier. And my wife, in anger, in panic, in desperation, called out, "Where is God?" And from some unknown place in me, through my pale slouch form, I uttered, "Here." right here. The presence of God has never eliminated pain, only made it more bearable. Now when things don't go the way I want, I try to kiss what waits beneath all I want. Now when the car breaks down, though I get angry, I try to hear the weeds in the ditch as they point me to the sky. Now when the vase drops from my hands and shatters, though I whine, I try to see beneath my reflection in the pool of flower water. Now when hurt, I try to feel my way through the tangle of my very normal reactions into the quiet underlying all experience. Mysterious as it is, no matter our pain or excitement, our drama or circumstance, all that we could hope for is here. We lack nothing. We are whole. The humble challenge of being human is not in agreeing or disputing this truth. That's as fruitless as arguing against gravity. Our humble way, if we can open it, is to root ourselves beneath the thousand dreams and excuses that keeps us from the ground we walk. Time and again, we're asked to outlast what we want and hope for in order to see what's there and know it is enough. Okay, so I'm just going to, since I've gone a little bit long, encourage you to gently make your way up to a seated pose and gather anything that spoke to you as I play our final sound of the day, of my day with you. So this sound signals the end of our time together today. I hope something was healing and helped you feel whole today. So let's just acknowledge each other and say namaste.